COVID-19, let's talk about it.
I'm Kenny Molotov, licensed plumber, professional magician, and entertainer. On this channel, I go through the ins and outs of my career in plumbing. I take you through a day in the life and we talk tools, theory, and mindset. I'm trying to give you an arsenal of knowledge and an online resource so you can take this trade head on and find yourself successful on the other end. Click subscribe, hit that bell notification, and let's talk pipes.
Peeps, Kenny Molotov here, and here's a topic that we have to talk about, something that came up in the live stream, and actually we spent quite a bit of time talking about it, which is the coronavirus, COVID-19. So I wanted to talk to you briefly about how us service plumbers are planning to take on this COVID-19. Here in Ontario, Canada, we are treating plumbing and service plumbing as an essential service. Unfortunately, if there's a main drain backup happening in somebody's home or in a building, nobody can run water in that situation, or else it's going to get worse and worse and worse, and us plumbers are called out to essentially clear up those situations and get those things up and running as fast as possible. So the question becomes, what do we do? How do we protect ourselves? What am I doing? Now, the first thing that I have to say, some of you might know the situation I'm currently in at home. I work for my father, and my father is in his 60s, so he is part of that age group that is at the highest risk of getting it, and I'm really concerned about that. I know that my dad has had some issues with maintaining health in the past, especially in the past 8 to 10 months. He's been getting sick non-stop. So I'm really worried about his immune system. So essentially I had a conversation with him this week and I said, look, Ontario is sort of going on shutdown right now. Only the essential services are left open. You can't go into restaurants anymore. Only drive-thrus are accessible. Most companies that can go remote have done so. They have sent their workers home and said, you got to do everything online from now on. And I know a lot of businesses have changed their hours of operations as well. There's a tremendous amount of cleaning happening and taking place in order to ensure that if they have customers come in, that they're as safe as possible. Daycares have closed down. School is out for March break, but schools have an additional 2 weeks off after March break. There are some schools I hear that are completely closed down for the rest of the school year. It's a lot of stuff happening, and it's stuff that's brand new to us, really scary. We're really nervous. We don't know what to do. So I essentially sat Dad down this week and I said, look, I really am worried about your immune system. You know, stay home as much as possible. So I unfortunately had to actually cancel a couple of jobs this week that weren't essential jobs. We're only keeping emergencies open. So if there's a main drain backup or clog, if there's a kitchen stack clog, or if there's some sort of leak like a pinhole leak or whatnot, those are the things that we're going to run out to and do. But everything else, which includes some renovations, especially if it's a two-person job, I'm not going to be able to commit to it right now. I have to wait a couple of weeks, try to keep Dad at home as much as possible to make sure that he's not affected by this. Like, I'm extremely scared on his behalf, and I'm really worried because, you know, it doesn't matter how cautious you are as an individual. If you go outside and you meet somebody with it and you have that unfortunate series of events occur, you know, you might catch it even though you are being as cautious as possible. So, you know, my heart goes out to all the plumbers right now that are struggling. I know some of you are closing down shop because of this. I know some unions are. You know, I really hope, just like you guys do, that this isn't something that's going to be permanent, that is something that we sort out very quickly, but we really don't know. If you look at what's happened in China, it took 3 or 4 months to turn this bad boy around, you know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping, I really am hoping something will kind of make everybody understand that we got to take this a bit more seriously, put in the right sort of precautions, and make sure that we're all safe and that we're all moving towards the same goal of getting rid of this darn thing, you know? And I've also decided to self-isolate myself from my father. My father lives at a different house than I do, so what I'm doing is I'm not going there anymore. I'm essentially saying, look, I'm going to be the biggest risk taker. I'm going to go out to job sites where we absolutely need to be there. I'll take care of those jobs, and for the next 2 weeks we're going to monitor how good it is or how bad it is, and if it gets better, hopefully Dad can then start coming out onto a job site with me. If it isn't, then it's going to have to be me until it either calms down or until I get sick and we got to shut down completely. I mean, knock on wood, I'm like terrified of all this stuff, and I know a lot of plumbers out there are as well, but you know, I sort of had to make that executive decision of like, look, I just can't risk my father going out right now, even though his customers are calling. Okay, I'll take the risk, and that's the one thing that I can do. Now, in regards to coming home, I'm really scared of passing it on to my wife, so there are conversations about me self-isolating in the house as well, and staying on a different bed, for example, and that's something we're still working out to this day. Man, I mean, like, it is a terrifying conversation to have. It's something I've never dealt with before, and the majority of us have never dealt with this before. I was around when SARS was around, but it wasn't this big of a scare that I'm currently dealing with. I want to read off a little bit about what's going on. This is cdc.gov. I'm going to leave the links down below just so we can find out how it's transmitted and then what precautions we have to take as service plumbers to make sure that we're trying to be as safe as possible. Clean your hands often. I think this is something everybody agrees with. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after you have been in a public place or after blowing your nose, coughing, and sneezing. That's the first thing. Peeps, I always have hand sanitizer in the truck. I've had hand sanitizer in the truck before coronavirus was around, or this version of coronavirus was around, I should say. As service plumbers, we deal with a lot of unsanitary situations. We're unclogging toilets, we're unclogging drains, and because of that, if we don't have an opportunity to wash our hands, we come into the truck, we throw some hand sanitizer on us, clean up that way, and that's a quick way and an easy way to make sure that at least as soon as you get into the truck, your hands are sanitized. Another thing that I do as soon as I get into the truck, I sanitize my hand, and with that very same hand sanitizer, I wipe my steering wheel just to make sure that, I'm gonna be driving like this for a while. Let's make sure this surface is clean, because at some point, if I need to touch my face or whatever, I know that my hands have been clean and so has been the steering wheel. If soap and water are not readily available, use hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Cover all surfaces of your hand and rub them together until they dry. Avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. And this is a big point that I really need to have a conversation about. It seems like the way this thing is transmitted is from our hands, from our nose, and from our eyes. So in other words, somebody with coronavirus has to sneeze, has to cough, has to get some sort of mucus or some sort of saliva out into the air and onto something, and you as an individual have to pick that up somehow, either inhale it or get it on your hand, scratch your face, get into your nose, into your mouth, into your eyes, and that's how you essentially come down with this coronavirus. Now, look, I have to be honest, I am also taking the precaution of constantly wearing safety glasses. I'm not so sure how good these protect against coronavirus, but I do know if somebody's sneezing, it'll hit this instead of my eye, for example. So it's something that I do keep on me at all times. I keep it on as soon as I see a customer. And another thing that I also do when I go into a customer's unit and I'm in close proximity to a customer is I put on one of these masks. Now, these are simple masks that you can pick up from Home Depot. All you gotta do is put them over your face, and then you pinch the nose, make sure it's right up against your face so that if you get any coughs coming towards you or towards your eyes, you're covered up in complete proximity of it. The other thing that I gotta note is that I'm also always wearing gloves at this point. So if I'm touching any surfaces, if I'm going into a unit, I am putting on gloves. I keep the safety glasses on, I put the mask on, and then I put on the gloves last, and then I can open doors. I could tighten this mask around my face or whatever. And as soon as I'm done with the customer or I'm done in the unit, I take them off, inside out of course, I throw them out, and I make sure that my hands are clean. If I have an opportunity to wash my hands, I will do that before leaving the unit. And then as soon as I get to the truck, I open the door, I hand sanitize right away, sanitize the steering wheel, and that's the game plan. That's how I've been protecting myself. So a couple of things you have to know. I did have a couple of service calls this week. What's interesting is that everybody seems to be comfortable with giving each other space and not shaking hands or anything like that. Those are definitely off the table for the next little while. You have to politely say hi and you have to politely say bye. One thing I do have to say about masks though, whenever I am walking into a unit, before I see the tenant, I will have the mask off just so they can see my face. That way they understand I'm not trying to sneak in with a mask and not trying to be creepy or anything like that. Let them see your face quickly. Say, hi, I'm the plumber. You cover up then after that. That way they know what you look like. That way you know what they look like. There's an understanding of what's going on. You're also showing them with your body that you're wearing the mask, and you're also gonna have gloves on at that point. So they understand that you're taking your health seriously, and you're also taking their health seriously, because neither of you wants to catch this or transmit this. That's not the game plan. That's not how it works. And as soon as I also get into the truck, after sanitizing my hands and the steering wheel and even my phone, I also sanitize my phone if it's been on a counter or whatnot. I will also sanitize my glasses from time to time. And I mean, it's really just a lot of things you got to take into consideration with this coronavirus. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Put distance between yourself and other people of COVID-19. Stay home if you're sick. Cover coughs and sneezes. This is a pretty big one. A lot of people are kind of antsy around individuals that cough or sneeze at this point. It makes everybody uncomfortable. So make sure if you are coughing or sneezing, you're covering your face with your elbow just like that. Or if you have a tissue, cover it with the tissue, crumple that thing up, throw it out, sanitize your hand. Make sure you throw it in a closed bin that has a lid on it. Basic stuff we all know we should be doing, right? Wear a face mask if you're sick. I wear a face mask no matter what when I'm going into a customer's unit. If you're not sick, you do not need to wear a face mask unless you are caring for someone who is sick. That's according to cdc.gov. It really depends on the amount of safety you want to put yourself into. Clean and disinfect frequently. Touch surface daily. This includes tables, doorknobs, light switches, countertop handles, etc. How is COVID-19 spread? Through respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs or sneezes. So again, you got to be watching out for that, and if you yourself are coughing or sneezing, you got to be covering your mouth at all times. And then when you're done with your shirt or whatever you coughed on, you got to get that washed as soon as possible. These droplets can land in your mouth or noses of people who are nearby, or possibly be inhaled into the lungs, and that's how COVID-19 is transmitted. If you touch a surface or object that has the virus on it and then touch their own mouth, nose, or possibly their eyes. So if you can avoid touching your face, period, that would be hella beneficial for you. That's something to keep in mind as well. Now let's talk about the symptoms, just in case you're feeling some of this. Maybe you need to go into self-quarantine, okay? People may be sick with the virus for 1 to 14 days before developing symptoms. That's the scary part about this. I was having a conversation. The thing about COVID-19 is that you might not know you have it till many days later, and by that point you have transmitted it to a bunch of people because you had no idea you had it. You felt 100% during that period of time. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the scary part. You gotta act almost as if you already have it. You have to be sanitizing things almost as if you yourself are causing the spread. That's the way to actually combat this, and that's the way to actually make sure you're not passing it on to the people you love. The most common symptoms of this disease are fever, tiredness, and dry cough. Most people, about 80%, recover from the disease without needing any special treatment. The disease can be serious and even fatal. Older people and people with other medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, or heart disease may be more vulnerable to becoming severely ill. So look, I think a lot of us out there that are fairly young, do not even come close to the age group that is of highest risk, are thinking to ourselves, well, whatever. But we're also thinking to ourselves, well, look, if we get it, mom and dad might get it, you know what I mean? If we get it, my in-laws might get it. If we get it, our grandparents can get it. So that's really where it becomes a little bit scary. And again, that's why I told dad, look, just chill at home. Please, let me go. I'll do all the shopping. I'll go out and I'll risk coming in contact with somebody. I'll drop off the shopping after. I'll also wear gloves. I'll also wear masks during those times. And as soon as you get your shopping, I need you to wash all those bags. Wash your hands. Get rid of that box that I brought it in. Get rid of those bags that I brought them in. And that's sort of the protocol that we can only do. Again, us service plumbers are being called out because it's an essential service. People need service plumbers. So these are the precautions I'm taking that I wanted to show you so that you knew at least what I was was doing. What I'd love to do is have a conversation with you all. Let me know down in the comments below what extra steps you might be taking, because this is a serious conversation, because our lives are at risk and our health is at risk, in order to make sure that the rest of the community's health or city's health or nation's health is better when we're deciding to go out to these job sites, because we know that we might run into people on the elevator or even inside the unit that are sick as well. So peeps, please let me know down in the comments below what you're all thinking. Let me know what sort of precautions you're taking. Are you wearing gloves? Are you wearing masks? Are you using hand sanitizer? If you could get your hands on it, of course. All I really want is for you all to be safe. I am no expert on this by any means. I just want to let you know what my precautions are, and maybe it'll help you on the road of keeping yourself healthy and safe. Before we head out, I just want to let you know we are doing a live stream tomorrow, which is Saturday. So pop on over tomorrow. Let's talk about COVID-19 and how you all have been dealing with it. Another thing I have to bring up, the plumbing math course is officially finished. Links down below in the description. It is 10% off until this Sunday. So check out this video above. If you haven't already, you'll be able to see what the course encompasses, if it's something for you. If you've been struggling with math through your apprenticeship, or you've struggled with it in high school and you need help, this is the perfect course for you. It is 9.5 hours of content. I need to stress that. 9.5 hours of fractions, geometry, percentages, ratios, double 45 offsets, regular 45 offsets, 60-degree offsets. I go into my whole apprenticeship basically with this one math course. So check it out. I hope you're all well. See you at the live stream tomorrow, and I'll see you plumbers very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.